3. The number of chirps per minute, C, that the tree cricket makes is linearly dependent, that means it's a linear equation, on the temperature T in Fahrenheit. So they're using different variables here. The crickets do not chirp at all at 44 degrees, and at 84 degrees they chirp about 180 times per minute. Part A. Express the number of chirps, C, in terms of the temperature, T. So let me take you back to a previous video where they ask you to write the equation in terms of X. Okay, so that means in terms of temperature T, T is taking the role of X. Then capital C must be taking the role of Y. All right, so I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to turn this data into points. So 44 degrees, that's a T. How many chirps were there? There were no chirps, so that's 44 comma 0. At 84 degrees, that's my T, there was 180 chirps. That's my C, there's my 2 points. So once I have my 2 points, I can go to my slope formula. Second Y, or second chirps minus first chirps, second first Y, 180 over 0, 84 minus 44 for the temperature. I'm going to get 180 over 40, which reduces to 9 halves. So since I have my slope and I have a point, I'm going to go to point slope form. Instead of writing y minus the y coordinate, I'm going to go c minus 0, because that's an easy number to subtract by, is equal to my slope 9 halves times t, not x, but t, minus the 44. And of course, c minus 0 is just c, so there's my equation. So we're going to be able to use this equation now in part B, where it says how many chirps per minute will the crickets make at 102 degrees. All right, so we'll take the 102, and we're going to substitute it in for t. We'll subtract 44, that's going to give me 58. 9 halves times 58, well, 2 can go into 58 29 times. 9 times 30 is 270, so subtract 9 because I added 1 in here, which means I added an extra 9 to be multiplied. That's going to be 261 when I multiply it. So that's how many chirps there would be at 102 degrees. 17. After visiting the Titanic, Captain Brian and Mr. Pinky are taking the Avalon submarine back to the surface of the water. They start at 1,600 meters below the surface of the water. That's a starting point. That's your y-intercept. And because it's below the surface of the water, it's a negative 1,600. And ascended, that means it's going up, so that's a positive 49 meters per hour. If it said descendant, then it would be negative. So the word per means a rate, and all rates are the same as slope. So 49 miles per hour, that's your rise over run. We go up 49 meters per 1 hour to the right. So that's how we create our slope of our line. All right, so write the equation to the model this situation. So rise, that's your y coordinate, your change in y's has to be the m, over your change in x's, that's your h. So this is the y, this is the x. If you want to write the equation using y and x first, that's fine. You would get y equals, you have the slope 49x minus 1,600. Then we just have to change it out. We put m in for y, h in for x, and that's the equation that they want. 18, you started this year with $472 saved, and you continue to save $21 per month. Write an equation to model this situation. Again, here's your starting point. That's your b value. There's that word per. That's your rate. That's your slope. So my equation will be y equals 21x plus 72. But again, they want this to use m for months and s for savings. So my savings per month, savings will be the y, month will be the x, so we change the y. to an S, and we change the X to an M, and there's our equation. 19, suppose the world's current oil reserves is capital R, 2,040 billion barrels. If, on average, the total average means a slope, the total reserves is decreasing by 23 billion barrels of oil each year, answer the following. Okay, give the linear equation for the total remaining oil reserves, capital R, in terms of T. T will be X, capital R will be Y, the number of years since now. All right, so my starting value, 2040, we'll just say that we'll keep everything in billions. My rate is a negative 23 billion. As long as these two are the same units here, I don't have to make a bunch of zeros added to it. So my linear equation, y equals, there's my slope, negative 23x plus 2040, but again, switch it up. R goes in for y, t goes in for x. There's my equation. All right, B, 12 years from now, the total oil reserves will be billions of barrels. What would be the total? Well, 12 years, since this equation is for now, 12 goes in for t, and we crunch it in the calculator. Negative 23 times 12 is negative 276 plus 2040 gives me 1,764 billions of barrels. Just keep those units in your answer. If no other oil is deposited into the reserve, the world's oil reserve will be completely depleted approximately how many years from now? That means, when does this R equal 0? So we put a 0 in and we solve. So we'll add over the 23t, divide by 23, in approximately 88.70 years, rounded it to 2 decimal places. All right, 20. Last year, Pinwheel Industries introduced a new toy. It cost $5,300 to develop the toy and $20 to manufacture each toy. Fill in the blank below as appropriate. Okay, starting cost, that's my y value, my y-intercept b. And a rate to manufacture the toy, that's my slope. So my linear equation will be c equals the slope 20 times n plus my initial cost 5,300. So again, if you want to start in y equals mx plus b and then convert later, or jump it right to here, that's fine. All right, b, the total cost to produce 2,550 toys. We put 2,550 in for n, crunch the numbers in our calculator. 20 times 2,550 is 51,000 plus 5,300, a total of $56,300. With 62,300, a total of toys can be produced. Now 62,300 goes in for C, and we solve for n. So subtract over the 5,300 to get to 57,000. Divide by 20, 2,850 toys can be produced. 21, find the equation of a line that has a y-intercept of 12, and b is parallel to the line 8x plus 11y equals 2. Okay, here's that standard form of the equation, and if you want to be parallel to this line, you have to have the same slope as this line. Now, they gave us the y-intercept, so that means b is 12. But here you need to go find the slope to be the same as this. So remember, your slope was negative a over b. 8 is your a, so the opposite of 8, negative 8 over 11 is my slope. There's my y-intercept. There's the equation of my line. Find an equation of a line that a has the same y-intercept as the line, y minus 2x minus 6 equals 0, and is parallel to the line 2x plus 3y equals 8. Okay, so here we need to convert this into y equals mx plus b because we want to steal its y-intercept. So we're going to get y by itself. So we're going to add over the 2x and add over the 6. So we want to keep the same y-intercept, b equals 6. But we want to be parallel to this line, so we're going to do the same step as we did up here. 2 is your a, so negative 2 over positive 3. There's my slope, negative 2/3. There's the y-intercept, they want me to use 6. There's the equation of my line, y equals negative 2 over 3 times x plus 6. 23, write the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals negative 3x plus 2 and passing through the point negative 6, negative 3. All right, perpendicular means I need the opposite reciprocal of this slope. So right now my slope is negative 3 over 1. I need to flip it and change the sign. So this upside down capital T next to the M means perpendicular slope to this slope. So we flipped it and changed the sign. So we need to use 1/3 for our slope and use this point. So we need point slope form. So y minus a negative 3, which would be y plus 3, equals 1/3 times x minus a negative 6, which is plus 6. There's the equation of my line. If they ask you to convert this into y equals mx plus b, we can, because 3 goes into 6 evenly, so we can distribute that 1/3 x plus 2, because 1/3 times 6 is 2, subtract over the 3, 2 minus 3 is minus 1, so you can have either one of these two forms of the equation. Both are acceptable. Write the equation of a line parallel to y equals 4x minus 1 and passes through the point 1, 9. All right, we need the same slope as this equation, so m equals 4. We have our point, 1, 9, so y minus 9 equals 4 times x minus 1 in point slope form. We can leave it like this, or because 4 is an integer, we can distribute it, clean it up, and go 4x minus 4, add over the 9 to get 4x plus 5. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to x equals 3 through the point 1, 7. Okay, now here's a special case. Notice there's no y in this equation. If there's no y in the equation, it cannot cross the y-axis. So you have to have a line that's parallel to the y-axis, which means this is a vertical line going through 3 on your x-axis, going up and down. So if you want to be perpendicular to a vertical line, you have to have a horizontal line. And therefore, if I'm going horizontal, I never cross the x-axis. So I don't want this x coordinate, I want the y coordinate. So my vertical line, my horizontal line to be perpendicular vertical will be y equals whatever the y coordinate is, y equals 7. And that's true vice versa. All right. Or if they said parallel, then we use the exact same x coordinate, x equals 1 if it was parallel. All right, so that wraps up 3.3.